All right. Well, welcome to another edition of a Road to 240 workout. This is actually the third day in a row now I've been doing on the bike. I'm gonna do things a little bit different today. A couple days ago it was just easy ride for 30 minutes. Yesterday it was 30 minutes, but it was broken up as into intervals. 3 minutes of a warm up, 3 minutes of a cool down, with 8 sets going 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. Oops. Today I'm going to do the opposite of that. So 3 minute warm up right now, then a 3 minute cool down. I'll still be doing 8 sets. I'm going to go 1 minute of work followed by 2 minutes of recovery in between, which means I'm going to be pushing a little bit more during the 1 minute. I'm going to do the same gears that I did from yesterday's workout. So right now I'm just warming up, looks to be around gear 5. And I'll do that, I'll be in gear 5 during the recovery sets as well. And I think, what was it, gear 14? Probably gear 14 or so during the work set. So still the same gears, well, but I'm going to push it a little bit harder. I just realized I don't have my display on me. So I was using my cadence, my RPM, to gauge my effort level, if you will. So if I don't have my display on me, I'm going to have to go a little bit more on feel. And maybe just take I'll just have to count out the cadence during the work sets. Oh, I should adjust my intervals on my watch here. So since I will be working a little bit harder in today's workout, I'm likely not going to be doing as much talking. And if I am, it's going to be a lot of gasping in between. As usual, if you stick with me throughout this video, I thank you. It's not the most exciting video. I mean, you're just watching me riding my bike right now, really. But whatever comes to my mind anyway, I'll share along with y'all. Got less than 10 seconds before I start the first main set here. All right, here we go. So I roughly counted my cadence. I'm close to 80 or so RPM at this gear. So I'm definitely pushing it harder than I was yesterday. Yesterday I was anywhere from 67 to 69 RPM. Ooh, feeling that one. And I know I'm dropping a bit here. Oh. Oh. I might be in for a bit of a rough ride for the rest of the workout here. The 2 minute recovery now after that first set. Just nice and easy. Just let the legs move. I'm gonna make sure I drink my water this time around. It wasn't the last time. Maybe it was because the rest in between intervals was so short and I was talking a lot. I wasn't thinking about drinking water, but today I'm gonna need it. Now it's not as hot today, fortunately. Ugh. There we go. Yeah, it's not as hot today, fortunately, but it'll be good for me to keep up with my hydration. Earlier today, about an hour ago, I did finish a lift. I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on this particular workout, but just, again, this is me talking whatever comes to mind. I fitted in a strength workout earlier, which I'll touch upon in about a minute here. All right, here we go. My goal right now is to see if I can maintain 80 RPM throughout the entire set. I'm below 80 right now. I just counted for 15 seconds. I was around 78. Ooh, that was burning. Now I'm gonna go a little easier on these gears in between. Let my legs spin a little bit more. Freely spin with low resistance. So, oh jeez, can't get the gear right. There you go. Yeah, low resistance in between. Just let the legs spin, move. Foster a little bit better recovery in between. I was saying earlier, I did a lift before this one. Total time for the lift was less than 30 minutes and essentially only 4 exercises. That's where most of my strength training has been. I'm usually doing anywhere from 3 to 4 exercises each one. The time limitations I have, well, the workouts I fit in are really in 30-minute blocks. So even though this is the second workout I'm fitting in the day, I'm not putting it all together with the strength because of, again, time limitations. Just trying to work things around my schedule and family responsibilities and whatnot. So this is the thing when it comes to training. You got to fit wherever you can sometimes. Can't always go with the ideal situation. Ideally, I like to do it all in one shot, but if I can break it up, then at least I'm still getting some good training in. Ultimately, that's what matters. Get the training in. Be consistent. Consistency is the biggest thing. That even when there's periods where there's some downtime, I've built up a large foundation to still rely on. All right, close to 80. Got 10 more seconds till burn. Yeah, it's burning. Feeling that in the legs. yeah, going back to consistency. That's the biggest thing. Stay consistent. All right. Even if you're injured, unless you have to be completely bedridden, there's still things that you can do if you're injured. I talked about my hip flexor affecting my runs, which is why I'm on the bike right now. And the summer months are coming. Oh, they're basically here. Weather's nice. I would like to be out there more doing runs, but I'm a little limited with how much I can push things on my running. So using the bike to be able to push my intensity in training. But it could be other things, right? Like, what if you got an injury on your right shoulder, as an example? Okay, so maybe you can't do much in the way of upper body work. What can you do for lower body in terms of strength? Can you still go for a walk, right? Could you do a hike? Still do something. Build up. It's almost like a savings account. Building up a savings account for those rainy day funds. When you're injured, that's the rainy day. And that's when you can start, picking up from diving into those savings a little bit, or at least relying on the savings. For me, I've essentially been training for decades and have, from a fitness perspective, built up a large savings account. So even when times are rough, I'm not getting training in the overall sense, I'm still pretty fit compared to the general population. Ah. Damn. I'm either gonna have to dial back how much I'm pushing it on the 1 minute set. So either go a gear or two down, or I give myself more recovery in between. I'm leaning towards more recovery in between right now. But it does extend the workout time a little bit longer, so things I gotta consider. I mentioned earlier, in terms of times, I'm on a bit more of a time crunch these days. For example, I gotta pick up my youngest from daycare, so I have to factor in, do I wanna put in just a little bit more recovery in between? I'm halfway through though, so maybe I just gotta focus a bit more on these last 4. I did say I wasn't going to be talking as much during this workout, so I'm pushing it. And so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It means I am pushing it. Which also means I gotta stay focused. At least during these hard sets. Here we go. Set 5 out of 8. Ah. Come on. Damn, that's hard. 3 more. So I was around 80 RPM on that one, but I'm working for it. Now I'm starting to think for the amount of effort I'm putting into this, 2 minutes is too short. But I got 3 sets to go. I'm this far. Let's just see what I can do. Something that came across my mind on that last set there was staying relaxed even when things are hurting. And at least when it comes to cardio training, like riding the bike or going for a run, it's learning how to stay relaxed even at high intensities and high speeds. Tension is actually an energy killer. If we're thinking about running, particularly an energy killer when you're running and when you're sprinting, right? It's learning, running, well, if we're talking about running, whether slow it's fast, but particularly fast, it's all about learning how to run in as relaxed of a manner as possible. Now, is that always possible? No, of course not. But you gotta be mindful of it. For me, it's the shoulders. That's where a lot of my tension is. And even with this one, I'm getting towards the end, last 15, 20 seconds, I got that tension through the shoulder. So relax while still pushing. It's a skill like any other skill that you gotta learn. Crap, that's a little higher. There we go. Not harder than it should have been. Ah, come on. Come on. The ability to try to stay relaxed, even when you're pushing it. Like I said, it's a skill that must constantly be worked on. When you look at Olympic sprinters, let's just even take 100 meters. They're going incredibly fast. But you look at their face for essentially the 10 seconds that they're running. And for the most part, they're pretty relaxed, even as fast as they're going, even though what they're doing is essentially max effort. So learning to still push yourself and still remain relaxed, again, it's a skill. Now, a little bit different if it's strength training. Strength, you need that tension in order to lift heavy ass weights. But running, different story. 2 more sets here. I'm still able to hold roughly around 80 RPM here. So we'll stick with the plan. No need to adjust. Although I think adjusting to gear 3 for the recovery in the early going was a good idea. Set number 7 here. Penultimate set, one more after. Yeah. Damn. One more. You know, all this talk about trying to stay relaxed even when shit's hurting reminds me of when I was still going to school at UBC. One of the classes I took, instead of having a year-end exam, it was a final project where we had to develop a program for an athlete based off of data like one's anaerobic threshold, aerobic threshold, strength, and so forth. And all the data was based off of the people in the group. So I ended up being the guinea pig in my group. And this one test that we were doing as a measurement of anaerobic ability was to run on a treadmill set at a 15% incline, going 8.5 miles an hour. And the goal was to go as long as you can on that one. And then when you're done, you just let yourself go and you have your classmates catch you. Now, there's max as well in case they don't catch you well, but the idea was you go as hard as you can and as long as you can, really. Most people will barely last 20 to 30 seconds. I managed to get to, it was over a minute, I know that, it was like maybe 110 or so. But did that ever hurt? Never had I felt my entire body feel like it was burning. All right, last set. But that one, I mean, you try to stay relaxed, that was tough. Bottom one. Let's make it a good one. Ah. Wait a second, come on. Come on. Ah. Oh. So heart rate there was anywhere between 180 to 190. But it's not really a true reflection of how hard I was working because the interval was so short. So something to keep in mind, if you're using heart rate to gauge your effort level on something like this, where the work interval is only a minute long or shorter, the heart rate during that work interval is not a reflection of how hard you're going, because it's too short of an interval to really gauge. So it's nice to know, but it's not everything. Oh, all right. So I'll finish off this 2 minutes in gear 3, and then the final 3 minutes I'll finish back at gear 5. So my heart rate recovery. Now, if there's anything to pay attention to in terms of heart rate, I would say it's during the recovery phase, not during the work phase itself, at least for something like this. See, after about 2 minutes, my heart is still at 150. But I think technically, if I wanted to make this workout a bit more effective, I should have gone with a longer rest interval, like 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes. But I'll know for next time. I'll make that adjustment next time I'm on here. I'm gonna have to set up a time with a physio for my hip flexor. Now I'm just talking to myself right now. But if I want to get back to running as quickly as possible, I'm gonna have to do that. Still dealing with tennis elbow, but that I can work around. Hip flexor, not so much. And the things I should be doing to help my tennis elbow get better, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't been doing it. I think it's, if I really want to, I would do something about it, but it's just not at the top of my priority list. Although I don't think it's getting any better. So I should really make it a priority, because there's times where the elbow feels like it's right in a very specific spot. It just feels like it's burning randomly. So I gotta do something about it. But it's not affecting my lifts all that much. At least for deadlifts, it's not affecting me. Where I notice it, where I gotta be a bit more mindful, is when I'm doing my pull-ups. Like today, there was a certain grip variation I was trying for the pull-ups, and elbow didn't like it, so I had to switch the grip. But I do find I'm having to pull more on my left side compared to my right, which is not such a bad thing, seeing I'm already right arm, right side dominant, so the left side has to work a little bit harder. Yeah, so be it. All right, that's 30 minutes. If you made it this far, thank you for sticking with me up until this point. Even though there wasn't as much talking, but again, thank you for sticking around with me. Got any questions about this particular workout or training in general for your test, whether it's POPAT, PAIR, PFA, APREP, COPAT, SOPAT, whatever the case may be, ERT pair, for anyone trying to get onto the yurt team, just let me know, comment below, or email me at marc, M-A-R-C, at royalconditioning.ca.